another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
And I'm Mr-Magazine.
So we shoot these videos, obviously in advance of when they post. It would be kind of hard to do it any other way. Right. And we shoot them after they post. It's amazing.
Gotta go back in time.
Exactly, our flux capacitor. But we just recently, as we're shooting this, got back from the Atlanta Hall. 150,000 magazines that everybody's talking about, everybody's pretty amazed by. 3 tractor trailers worth. As of this point, 1 tractor trailer has come in. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your thoughts on the setup that they had down there and how they were doing things. We definitely will have some videos up. They hopefully have posted already that you've been able to see where we talk a little bit about the hall. But I wanted to ask you what your thought was about their website, I guess, and how they were running things.
Yeah, I was certainly impressed with it. The way they had everything in order. They had the non-stuff, the adult stuff, but then they had the boxes that were you can just flip through them quickly instead of pulling them off shelves. Their inventory.
Just a quick little, because we may not have mentioned that when I interviewed you on the channel. What they did is the way Mr. Magazine and I do things. We have a number of reasons for doing it. We use banker boxes with tops on them. Yep. The advantage of the way that we do it is less spillage, and also in your case,
you store more too.
You can store more. And another reason would be if the sprinklers were to go off, it gives some level of protection right. Having the top on there. The main reason why I have a top on there is now in the basement I have better shelving, but I used to have the plastic shelving, and occasionally, unfortunately, it would collapse and the boxes would be all over the place. Well, if I have the top on, it kind of kept it all together as opposed to 8 boxes are mixed together.
Sure.
But what they did is they had... what kind of box would you almost say they were?
It's like a half box or something, like a thick tray, like a deeper tray.
Yeah, it's about
the top half
yay
is
high
sticking out,
and yay long. Yep, and they had them in almost like a comic box or magazine box. If you were to cut it down, and then they could page through it really fast. Yep. And then they had the dividers up that gave each date, and then in front of it they had the magazines in question. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, it was definitely impressive. But on top of it all, they had the barcode scanner, so they had some system, a database with everything they had in inventory, and all they do is scan it, take one out, and then I think their inventory fixes itself or something like that. So, but it's something, if we did it, we would have done it 10, 12 years ago when we started the whole numbering system.
Or, because I've been thinking about this a lot, the only other possible way to do it would be to set up, let's just say, Mr. Magazine Goy. And we have our own website that we share, but it's something starting off from scratch.
Right, yes.
But the thing that I was thinking about is all of their work was put in originally, in that they sat there and they said, okay, June 11th, 1977, Lady Home Journal, and they would have, write up on what was in there, and it's a lot of work setting it up.
Sure.
But once it's set up, you really don't have any issues at all. All you do is change the inventory.
Right, exactly.
The problem with that short term is you're not making any money.
True.
Because of all the time to set it up.
Yeah.
That is definitely, it was a great idea, but it's definitely somebody that saw the long term.
Yeah, you needed some employee to work full time doing that as you're getting the business off the ground.
Yep, and I've given it a lot of thought throughout the years because I've kind of had similar ideas. I just have never done anything with them. But that you certainly could get an OCR scanner and scan into table of contents, have that feed into an area like a searchable database area, and then if somebody wants to search on Lusitania, oh look, the March 1988 Smithsonian had it in there.
Right.
The whatever National Geographic from June 1977 had it. So the Lusitania brought both of those up off of the search,
neat,
off the OCR. Certainly a great idea. But something or other that you definitely have to be willing to invest a lot of time into. Because, we both know from having our websites, you don't tend to get a lot of traffic to begin with.
Right.
let alone all that time building it up. You better have a second source of income, or you
Yeah.
better have come into some money somehow or other,
Sure.
and
Carry
you're like,
yourself,
you
yeah.
know, exactly, I came into $100,000. I'm fine. My bills are all paid. Now for the next year, I'm going to build up this website type deal. Um, the what is the danger in a website as I described?
Well, for one thing, I would say from going onto their site and picking out ones that I wanted to get in the deal, they never updated it. So a lot of things were out of stock, and they may have had them in they may have had them in a mixed box, but the mixed box would still have to be sorted out and dispersed and scanned and into
Well,
the
that's
database.
that's one. You bring up one potential problem, and that is if I go to your website and you've got 500 items on there and they're all out of stock, you've got to have a way basically to hide the out of stock things, or an easy way to search in stock only items, because
Right.
otherwise, geez, I'm interested in Time magazines from 1963, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock.
Yeah.
I'm going to click on 4 pages and they're all out of stock. I'm going to stop. It doesn't matter if the fifth page has 5 of them that are in stock if there's not
Right.
an easy searchable way.
Well, we had to change our website a year and a half ago because if it sold out, it would still have the picture there with the price, and it would say sold out in small letters. But a lot of people were trying to click on it; they thought they could buy it, or how come how come I can't buy it, or what's going on. So once it's sold, it gets erased right off the website.
And the other danger that I see of having the website set up the way they had it set up is I can see where, I don't know, 5 to 8 to 10 years in, you get lazy. And by that I mean, okay, we've got all the ladies' home journals up and they sell well enough. We've got all the Good Housekeeping up and they sell well enough. Oh, here's a collection that's got 12 magazines that aren't in our database. Put them over there. We'll get them in there at some point. Or you
Yeah.
may shy away from deals that, oh, yeah, I mean, that's a decent enough deal, but we don't really have any of those titles in our database, and I don't
Right.
think they're going to sell overly well. Do I want to spend all the time cataloging all these brand new things?
Right. Right.
And what got me thinking about that is, having talked to her, she had a couple, and I know you had seen them as well, a couple of popular science magazines from the 1930s. And I think those were the only old magazines they
Oh, yeah.
really had. They basically were maybe 60s, but certainly 70s on was what they
Yeah.
were heavy
There was
in.
a few stragglers of some titles that were earlier, but nothing much.
Nothing at all, right. And I remember talking to her and mentioning that I really like the stuff from the 1800s, early 1900s, and she's like, no, we don't have any of that. So they probably shied away from those because they're a very specialty type selling thing, whereas, it might not be worth it in a site like that if you're trying to be a general purpose back issue sales place. People are going there, they want a birthday issue of a Life magazine. They want a birthday issue of a Look magazine or Saturday Evening Post. They're not going to it for some obscure 1858 magazine because that's not what you're known for. That's not what you're selling.
Right. Exactly.
It made it kind of interesting though to see how they had it done, and they had a lot of things that I wish that we both knew somebody locally that could help us set up.
Yeah. Right.
Because I think that there's tremendous potential in a site like that once you get
Yeah.
the traffic going to it. But I know it's above and beyond what I can handle at this point right now. I know
More
that
than I can handle at this point too.
well, I know the CZUR scanner that we use, and if you are interested in buying one, do click the link down below. They are wonderful, and one of these years, I promise we're going to do a video about how we use it. I know the CZUR scanner does have OCR capabilities on it. I've never used it, not once. Not
neither.
once. I haven't had the time to look into it. And would it make things easier? Yeah, it would, because you could, it's probably 2 buttons. You probably save it somewhere, and I probably could cut and paste it into my listings, and
Right,
people
right.
could search, the listings, if you can still search items in description and come up with these things. It would probably drive sales.
Yeah.
I haven't had time, or haven't found time, I guess that's probably more like it, in order to do that right. So I just wanted to kind of bring you behind the scenes of another business and talk about the pros and cons here on air of the way they had things, but also things to look out for. And I think laziness really is one of the biggest things to look out for. And I'm not saying that Mr. Magazine and I are lazy. I'm not saying the people that are running that website were lazy. How about complacency?
Yeah.
That may be a better word. It isn't
Yeah.
that we're lazy, we're complacent. What we're doing works well enough, and there's no need to search beyond that.
Right.
So
yeah.
we're not taking the next step, which is a fault of ours, a fault of mine, a fault of yours,
Yeah.
because we could do that and we could make it so much more. However, what is the ultimate payoff in it versus the ultimate time that you invest in it? That's the
Right.
other question. Don't know. So do kind of comment down below anything that you got out of this. We do like to bring you other people's business plans as we see them, because a lot of times you may be, one thing we said there, you may be able to incorporate what you do. You may say, I've never thought about the OCR. I do have that capability. Let me look into it. And all of a sudden you're starting to do it, and then you're bragging to us in future videos. You guys made us so much money. Thanks. And we're like, yeah, we still haven't figured it out yet. We'll feel rather foolish at that point. But don't make us feel foolish. Hit the like button, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye bye.
Don't wanna be